Okay, so Rob Hashiba and I are talking about things, and the next topic is pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Hey. So tell me what you have in mind when you think about these issues.
Yes. Well, simply put, this is just a question that I always have, but when you learn a language, the first thing many people try to tackle is pronunciation. But there seems to be no emphasis on intonation and the rhythm at all, and I don't see why that is. Is it not something that people can learn, or is it avoided for some reason, or is it just not important, at all?
If I can ask you a question, I understand intonation, but when you say rhythm, I think people have different definitions. And some people's definition of rhythm is like, you have to speak English like this, and literally they're going to say that kind of stuff. But I don't think so. Yes. Or for me, rhythm is a little bit, I think it's more about syllables, and you have to use the syllable as, how do you say, the way to create the like this. So when you speak, I hear the rhythm of dun dun dun, and that's driven by syllables. So in that sense, I think syllables are important.
Yes.
And rhythm probably is important too.
Yeah. Well, so I was talking about rhythms, but maybe there's another way to kind of look at rhythm. It's more of a melodic tune. It's about pitches and I guess how the flow of that phrase goes. So, for example, I just said, for example. I think a lot of Americans like to use this phrase, for example. But if you say, for example, it doesn't make sense. But many people in Japan probably would like to say, for example, but it's for example. So when you actually take out the sheen だから、sheen なんだっけ? Okay, I just lost track. But yes, the consonant. If you take out the consonant, it'd be, for example, so it'd be tamparampan, pamparampan. So I think even if you do speak in a very heavy Japanese accent, so if I say, for example, it still would sound like an English phrase, I think. And I just don't see why this is not focused upon more than we like to think.
Maybe when they study English, they don't really listen and learn. And they like to look at letters and sentences, and then they feel good because it feels kind of easier to look at what's written as opposed to relying on sound. I think even when people learn how to play the piano, they buy a book and you have a teacher, and then the teacher explains, okay, this is how you play. But people, you are constantly looking at the gakufu, the music score. So, but in reality, piano it's about sound, so you don't necessarily need the paper or the sheet music. You just listen and you can just play. But yes. I think, it's part of our culture to rely on what's written, and that's not great for learning of language.
Okay, that's great. I think maybe it was you or somebody else. People say that American English is more like rock and roll or rock music, and Japanese music is maybe like in this case it's more music reading. And I have noticed that there seems to be a correlation between people who tend to like music and specifically rock music. They would tend to be better speaking English. I always thought that is because they were studying the lyrics, but maybe it has to do with that musical aspect, the rhythm, intonation.
I think so. We would sing, and obviously when we sing, we're just really imitating the way a native speaker sings. And if you don't sing like them, you can't even sing. I liked listening to a lot of Beatles songs when I was in college.
Yes.
And I recently noticed that the Beatles songs are full of one-syllable words, I should say. For example, I want to hold your hand. It's like, one is two syllables, but it's like 1, 2. So I want to hold your hands. It's all one note. I mean, music note, one syllable. So it's a really nice practice of, I think, singing in English.
That's a very interesting analysis. I never come across that. Oh, okay.
In my opinion, I think people mix up simple words with difficult words. In English, simple words are always like one syllable words.
Yes.
And difficult words are foreign words, like gairaigo.
Yes.
I think people study too much of both. I think you have to master the basic ones first, and then move on to difficult words, which are usually foreign words.
So, are you saying that most basic words tend to be shorter syllables?
Yes. I, am, is, she, he. Almost there's no exception. And if you find some longer words such as microphone, I think that's not an English word. That's more like a Latin word or something, I think.
Yes, possibly.
Television.
Television. It's probably a relatively new word that's been invented in the last few centuries, probably.
Some of them. Xerox.
Xerox.
Email.
Yes.
Mail is one syllable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. I've never come across that theory. Yes.
And in terms of rhythm, if it's just a bunch of one-syllable word, you don't necessarily have to worry about rhythm because it's just easy. If it's a long word like microphone, you have to worry, is it microphone or microphone? But if it's just like a short word, it's easy. Like I. You don't have to worry about how do I read I. It's just I. And walk. I walk. I swim. Swim is one syllable too.
Yes.
Yeah. Drink.
Oh, that is very interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And,
but it's true that pronunciation. I can intentionally destroy, butcher pronunciation, but still I can make sense. For example, when I talk to my dog, I intentionally speak like you want to go outside, like by I'm kind of exaggerating. I say when I talk to my dog, I kind of talk funny, but still, I think I make sense. Want some food? Oh, I said, want some food? Instead of saying food, I say, want some food?
Want some food? Oh, okay.
I want to go outside?
Okay.
Outside. And then I don't say outside. I say outside.
Okay.
I'm kind of cutting the last consonant from each syllable.
Okay.
Still, I think when my wife listens to me, she would understand what I'm saying to my dog.
Okay.
Yeah. So pronunciation is like a secondary. It's true.
Is there a reason why you're speaking in a different accent to your dog?
I just think it's kind of funny if
it's
I
kind of
speak
funny.
to my dog. Yeah, it's funny.
Okay.
And also the assumption is that dogs cannot understand complicated sounds. So I kind of do some reduction.
Yes. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's you're almost kind of I guess changing the accent so that your dog can hear it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Dog food would be dog food.
Yes.
Dog.
It's very funny because when I spoke English to Japanese people, people would get uncomfortable. I think you kind of noticed that, but in Japan, when people confront Japanese people that speak, very fluent English, some people get intimidated, and sometimes they get very uncomfortable. And at one point, I realized that if I replace a lot of the vowels, like English vowels, with Japanese vowels, and sometimes for the consonants that people can't hear, make that into a more katakana sounding consonant. People just pick up people just understand everything I say. Yeah.
They say, Rob's English is easy to understand.
Yeah. But actually, I'm changing the accents and also changing the rhythms so that it kind of fits the shaku, so it fits this musical kind of like a bar.
They actually use that kind of like easy version of English on NHK radio English conversation program, I think, and the intonation is very exaggerated, like hello, how are you, doing fine, and then I hear that that's the type of English even Japanese people can understand. It's kind of unfortunate because they overdo it. Narrators of these programs overdo this ups and downs. And that's not very helpful.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the example with your dog is just I found it very interesting. I think in a position that you are in, you talk to many people from different backgrounds, and also you're doing this podcast. You're probably talking to language, so you kind of customize kind of the tone or the way you speak, and I'm actually very surprised that you do it actually to dog. It's an interesting.
I have a better examples from like how my colleagues speak. If they're from like Mexico, or if they're from Greece. Just one specific, super specific example. They don't say the, like they say de. Like, instead of saying the house, they say the house. But people still understand what they're saying.
Yes.
And I notice people from Russia, they don't really pronounce th like a za. So ultimately, I think pronunciation is a secondary issue. As long as it's close, it's not a big issue. But I think syllables are very important.
Syllables, okay.
Yes. Yeah, and then I think that's what you probably mean by rhythm. because rhythm is really based on syllables.
Based on syllables, okay.
Yeah. So if the best way to practice in Japan when people learn new words, I think they should clap like
Yes.
yeah, water, or, you know.
Yes. Actually, yeah, that's what I do. I use hand movements and yeah, other kinds of movements in my classes.
That's cool.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
I think we kind of agreed with this topic of pronunciation is kind of overrated. Although, I mean, like you said, separately from this conversation, for some people who want to be really, really good at it, I mean, you know, people can spend a lot of time. You know, from Eigonodo's perspective, native-like pronunciation could be easier, actually, than Japanese English, because native-like English is like you relax yourself and, you know, you have no tension in your throat.
Yes.
So, for example, if I have to say, how are you? What I do is relax and say, how are you? That's easier to say than, how are you?
Yeah.
Japanese way.
Throat, yeah.
Yeah,
the
relax. Right.
Okay.
All right, so
Yes.
we'll continue this discussion.
Yes.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Kaz-san. はい、ありがとうございます。